she is shaming descendants of this. Will she continue to do that when she is now one of them, Dana? And it is funny. She is so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
Greg Gutfeld just absolutely humiliated Sunny Hostin on live TV, and you could see the panic in her eyes.
My family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Sunny was left stunned after discovering a shocking truth about her family's past. Her reaction to the revelation sparked an intense debate, with many questioning why she wasn't holding herself to the same level of accountability she often demands from others. That's when Greg Gutfeld stepped in, delivering a brutal roast that left her scrambling.
Oh, I'm gonna milk this till the end of time. You're right. Anytime she says something stupid, I'm gonna go, slave owner!
So, what exactly did Greg say that shut Sunny down? And why is she being heavily criticized for her response? Stick around, because this is one showdown you don't want to miss.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin.
It all started when Sunny Hostin went on PBS's Finding Your Roots, expecting to uncover a powerful, inspiring story about her ancestors. Instead, what she found out left her completely stunned. Sitting across from Henry Louis Gates Jr., she was hit with a bombshell. Her third great-grandfather was a slave owner. The news visibly shocked her, and it didn't take long for people to start reacting, both online and on TV. But no one took her to task quite like Greg Gutfeld.
She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice.
Gutfeld wasted no time addressing what he saw as blatant hypocrisy. For years, Sunny had been one of the loudest voices on The View when it came to racial injustice, systemic oppression, and reparations. She had consistently criticized people whose ancestors had owned slaves, never holding back when calling out their privilege or responsibility in acknowledging historical injustices.
She's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe.
And yet, when the tables turned and it was her own family tied to the very thing she condemned, her response was noticeably different. Instead of outrage, instead of taking herself to task the way she had done with others, she simply called it a fact of life.
I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
That was all Gutfeld needed to rip into her. He pointed out how quickly her energy shifted when it was her own lineage in question. On his show, Gutfeld, he sarcastically noted how easy it was for her to call others out, but when the same logic applied to her, suddenly history became complicated. His panel had a field day with the situation, laughing at how someone who had spent years attacking people for their ancestors' wrongdoings suddenly wanted grace and understanding when it was her family in the hot seat.
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
One of Gutfeld's strongest points was about accountability. He reminded viewers that people like Sunny often push the idea that historical injustices should be acknowledged and atoned for, regardless of whether the individuals involved had any direct responsibility.
I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life.
The response from social media was just as brutal. Many viewers agreed with Gutfeld, pointing out that Sunny's reaction was a masterclass in double standards. People resurfaced clips of her harshly criticizing others over similar issues, comparing them to how lenient and dismissive she was when it came to her own family's past. It didn't help that, instead of addressing the obvious contradiction, Sunny played the victim, claiming she was being attacked unfairly. But the damage was already done.
Fact of life. Interesting change of tune.
Now, people were quick to react after Greg Gutfeld's viral takedown of Sunny Hostin. The internet exploded with mixed reactions, and many viewers didn't hold back from voicing their opinions. One person summed up the sentiment by saying, "Quick to forgive herself, slow to forgive others." This pointed directly to the hypocrisy many saw in Sunny's response to the discovery of her ancestors' past. Another user added, "It's almost like people alive today aren't guilty of the sins of people who lived in the past. Crazy." This highlighted the irony many felt how Sunny had spent years holding others accountable for their ancestors' wrongdoings, but when confronted with her own, she didn't offer the same level of condemnation. One more commenter said, "Incredible, since she has spoken at great lengths on slave reparations and what debt white citizens of the US should have saddled with. Come to find out her family history showed her ancestors owned slaves. Wow." This individual pointed out the clear contradiction between Sunny's advocacy for reparations and her own family's involvement in slavery. It made the situation even more intense because her stance on reparations had been a major talking point, and now it seemed as though she was attempting to deflect any accountability when it came to her own lineage. As expected, the internet went wild, and clips of Gutfeld takedown went viral within hours. Fans were quick to praise him for calling out what many had already been thinking. People were loving the way Gutfeld tore into Sunny, pointing out the contradictions and holding her accountable in a way that many felt was long overdue. However, there were those who defended Sunny, claiming the backlash was unfair. They argued that she was simply processing new information about her ancestry and that it wasn't right to judge her for how she handled the revelation. But for many, her dismissive tone and lack of any meaningful reflection only fueled the criticism. Her apparent attempt to downplay the issue left many feeling that she wasn't taking responsibility for the actions of her ancestors, despite the fact that she had demanded others to do so for years. Gutfeld's takedown wasn't just about Sunny, it served as a larger commentary on race, history, and accountability. He pointed out how some individuals, like Sunny, weaponize identity politics while ignoring their own contradictions. For him, the real question was how we confront our histories and the uncomfortable truths about the past. While some felt Sunny had every right to react the way she did, others saw it as deflection, a tactic that didn't sit well with Gutfeld or the viewers. This clash between Gutfeld and Sunny Hostin wasn't just a viral moment. It was a reflection of the cultural divide in today's society, where issues of accountability and historical responsibility often spark fierce debates. Gutfeld's sharp critique struck a chord with many viewers, igniting discussions about the double standards of identity politics and the importance of being honest about the past. Now, before we go, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on more updates.